Hello everybody, welcome into the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series presented by the Alloy Wheel Repair Specialist. Watching it here live on Ghost Racing Network. We thank you for joining us here on this Monday night. New Hampshire Motor Speedway, beautiful track, very technical track, coming in at just about a mile if you will. But before we get to all the details on the track itself, how about we jump right into your starting grid for the night. On the pole with the Magic Mile, it is going to be Matthew Cox, one of the rookies. Great effort here. Starting in second, Austin Fitzgerald, one of our onboard cams tonight, will be carried by the 74 car. Andrew Kotska starts third with Jeff Marble to his outside in fourth. Cody Richardson and Jared Bundy making up row three with Alan Pajari and Tyler Marble rounding up row four. Kyle Oakley and Tracy Powers round out your top 10. It's going to be Scott Naslin 11th with Joshua Watson to his outside in 12th. Moving on back to 13th, Adrian Watts, another one of the rookies in the field, just had a birthday last week. Thomas O'Hara in 14th, Brian Conklin 15th, Jeff Shutt in 16th, Scott Glasso 17th, Jerry Isaacs in 18th, Brian Watson 19th, and Jacob Musso rounding out your top 20. Row 11, Bill Benedict and Johnny McCulchuk. Row 12 is going to be Brett Spod and Ryan Haynes. Cody Matthews 25th, Richard Elliott 26th. Andrew Russo and Glenn Grigsby make up row 14, and the last car in the field for just under 30 cars tonight. Starting in 29th, it's going to be Christopher Hall. Looking at your race info here, let's go ahead and pull it up for you. And let's go ahead and maybe redo that here as we have got a little too excited with the system. Give me just a second here. All right, here we go. Let's get into your race info. Try that again here. New Hampshire Motor Speedway, just over a mile actually. It's the New Hampshire 150 tonight in the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series. 150 laps. Everybody's going to have 100% fuel. 3 sets of tires as always. No fast repairs, open setups, and of course, 3 green-white checkers if we were to need them. Track temp going to be 118. So it is going to be toasty. It's going to be slick, and it's going to be fun. Here we go into the Geico restart zone for the first time. Green flag is in the air at New Hampshire. Good even start here as they work their way down into turn one. The inside's definitely going to be the dominant lane earlier. At least that's what we're going to assume as Matthew Cox looks to get out to an early lead. Sure enough, he's going to clear Austin Fitzgerald as they work their way off turn two for the first time. A couple of people already hanging out in the chat, including Logan T and Danny Gutierrez. What happened, Danny? How come we don't see you out here racing tonight? Either way, we certainly appreciate you tuning in. 150 laps is going to be a pretty long time around this track. It certainly feels long, especially with how technical it is. We're going to have to take quite a few onboard rides throughout this race because you're going to see when we look at the different cams, this is not an easy place. No banking just about through either of the set of corners, turns 1 and 2 or 3 and 4. So these guys have to be really, really careful with getting on the gas out of the turn. It's very easy to spin yourself here, and also you want to carry a lot of speed into the corners, but these things will wash up the track. We always talk about at every race during the season, the next gens have a ton of grip until they don't, and we will have to find out who can push it the farthest until they do run out tonight. Talk about the fuel strategy, though. That's a little bit interesting here. Johnny McCulchuk, our in-race reporter, lets us know they can go 70 to 80 laps. He did, I'm not sure if he was joking or what. He said, maybe able to make the whole race if we get enough yellows. I don't know if I see that happening now or not. We'll have to find out, but either way, 70 to 80 laps would certainly keep this at a one-stop at a maximum. Matthew Cox off to a strong early lead, but as we go back a little bit further here, still a battle for pretty much 5th on back. Austin Fitzgerald actually has started to scoot his way up to the leader, currently sitting 2nd. He's still got quite a bit of work ahead of him, but he is one of our drivers tonight that is carrying an onboard camera. Let's check him out, see how he's doing. There he is, getting in the groove early. Watch his hands here now. Give it a chance to kind of load up. And you see just how steady he is with the wheel. And actually, from the looks of it, let's ride on board with him. And this makes sense here. This would be a track that guys would be downshifting and upshifting at. Look at the dashboard on the bottom left. Watch his hands too from the driver cam here. He's got the sequential shifter. Boom, there it is. Gets it up to 5th and then gets down in a turn here down to 4th. Late in the run, maybe we see a couple guys get down to 3rd, although I don't know that anybody really gets quite that far. But this has probably been one of my favorite times looking at the onboard cams, the driver cams so far in person, because of that reason right there. You got to see just what Austin Fitzgerald has to do. Not only does he have to worry about getting the perfect line through the corner, but he's also got to do a downshift in the middle of it. But Matthew Cox seems to have it all figured out right now, has just under a 2nd lead over the rest of the field. Andrew Kotska currently rounding out the podium position. There's Jeff Marble, another one of our guys running an onboard camp tonight. You see he's got it working. I wonder if he might be one of the guys that uses paddles if he's downshifting. Let's go right on board, see if he's got a little bit of different strategy. Again, different gearing. Sometimes we'll see guys be able to run certain things. Does look like Jeff is also shifting. But we have seen before where some guys will either stay in 5th gear or maybe they have it set up where 4th gear is long enough that they don't have to shift to 5th. And when the run goes on, there's going to be pretty good fall off. As you see, Jeff is already working the wheel and getting loose. And when we start to see that fall off, that is when gear changing really kind of becomes vital. In the sense of if you mess up your corner just a little bit, downshift a gear. Get right back in it. You don't have to worry about the old days when we had the H patterns. You lose a ton of momentum. Not anymore with these next gens. The downshifting has really made it a lot harder to kind of, I guess, capitalize on another guy's mistake, if you will. But Jeff Marble's had a pretty good string of solid weeks. Going to be looking to get another good one tonight. Now, a man who is looking for a break, and while he's been very dominant throughout most of the season, he's been on a little bit just of a rough streak the last couple races. That would be Joshua Watson in the 01 car. Again, easily, you got to say, probably the most dominant guy of the season, but as of late, the struggles have certainly hindered Joshua Watson here just a little bit. Carrying one of the onboard camps tonight, he's looking to get it back together here. He's got one of the bigger wheels of all the guys in the league. I wonder if that's one of the Fanatec's. Either way, he's running right now behind his teammate Adrian Watts, who sits in 9th position, so he's just inside the top 10. And we're going to see actually all 4 of those JBR E-Racing teammates on the big race that we're going to be talking about a little bit later for PGR on Thursday. Excited to see what those guys can do there. If you take a look, you'll notice on the left of your screen the tower that we normally use. A little different tonight. We tried to change it up just a little bit. Let me know what you think of it. If you like it better, worse, don't care. Danny Gutierrez says, I was in Loudon, I believe that's how you say it. I am now in Cape Cod. I hope you had a good time there. We had the real life one, now we got the virtual one. We will see who can take home the lobster tonight for the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series. 10 laps in here. Let's go further towards the back of the pack, see how some of these guys are doing. Looks like Christopher Hall and Brett Spod are currently not on track. Not sure what happened to these guys, but troubles early, that's for sure. Their race might have came to an end before it even had a chance to start. Andrew Russo sits in 27th position with Glenn Grigsby in 26th. Those two are going to swap spots as Glenn Grigsby got really out of shape to 3 and 4 down onto the apron. Able to hold on. Cody Matthews in 25th. Richard Elliott, the beautiful looking purple, green, and white Ghost Racing Network JBR E-Racing paint scheme. He currently sits in 24th position. Ryan Haynes, another one of the drivers carrying an onboard tonight. Actually, he is our final driver carrying an onboard, so we'll show him a little bit of love here. And I tell you what, a lot of these guys have really nice setups, and for anybody that comes out here and thinks it's not that serious, let me tell you, it's a lot more serious than you would probably ever come to imagine. This is more than a hobby for these guys, and that's what makes them so good at it and so entertaining to watch. You might as well consider the racing part of it, the racing aspect itself, just as good as it could be in real life. And there's Ryan Haynes, the driver at Center Hill, Florida, up a position already from where he started. He currently sits in that 23rd position. Brian Watson in 22nd. Jacob Musso 21st, Johnny McCulchuk in 20th, Jerry Isaacs in 19th, Jeff Shutt in 18th, Thomas O'Hara in 17th, Bill Benedict 16th, Brian Coughlin in 15th, Scott Glasso in 14th, Tracy Powers in 13th, Alan Pajari 12th, Kyle Oakley in 11th, Jared Bundy in 10th, Joshua Watson now up tonight, up 3 from where he started. Adrian Watts still just ahead of him, but this battle's heating up, in fact, so we're going to go ahead and pause here for just a second. Jared Bundy's trying to get the top line working. Doesn't look like he's got it too much yet. Noticing that track map on the top right of your screen as well. Lap traffic, it is going to play a role at some point or another in this race. How many cautions we have is probably going to determine how often it does play a role, but I would say definitely before the first pit stop, guys are going to catch at least some lap traffic. The question is probably just how much and how can you work around it. Joshua Watson's going to make the pass on his teammate here down to the inside, and so far tonight, while we've seen some guys kind of hold on the outside, nobody's really been able to make a pass yet. At least somebody that we've seen. So Adrian Watts now back to 9th as Joshua Watson advances to 8th. Scott Naslin runs 7th. Good run so far for him tonight. Cody Richardson for Mad Sim Racing. He sits in 6th position. Tyler Marble working his way. First car into the top 5. Jeff Marble, his teammate, just ahead of him. It's going to be Andrew Kotska in that final podium spot. 3rd, Austin Fitzgerald in 2nd. And don't look now, but he is catching up to your leader, Matthew Cox, who's running a pretty gnarly paint scheme tonight. Got the beautiful chrome and red team at Watson Racing. He's led them all so far, but how many more can he lead now that he's got Austin Fitzgerald getting ready to be on his back bumper? How about we take a quick ride on board with your leader here from the roll bar? Actually, let's go to the cockpit too, because I want to see how his downshifts compare to Austin Fitzgerald. Just about the end of the straightaway, he does choose to go up to 5th. Let's see how Austin Fitzgerald compares. Now, their lines are very different. In fact, you can see right now that the one looks like he gets a lot higher. Austin Fitzgerald looks like he drives it in a bit deeper into the corner, a little bit lower line. But it does look like, at least that time around, Matthew was able to roll the center a little bit better. Logan T says it's expensive too. I found a setup for $12K. Man, yeah, I could believe it. I've seen some of these guys with setups up to, I think, $14,000 is the most expensive one that I've heard of so far. And some of these guys are probably up there in at least the $2 to $5 grand range, if I had to guess. Either way, continue to run in his wake. Now, a lot of times this would be the spot where we start to talk about dirty air affecting Austin Fitzgerald, and we start to ask the question, how much more can he catch up before he starts to fade? But you get to these mile tracks, flat track like this, downforce isn't quite as much of an issue. It's certainly going to have a little bit of effect, but the speeds, they're not quite that high. We look at the dashboard here. Watch the speeds that they get up to here down the straightaway. About 150, again, pretty decent, but the center of the corner is where, of course, you're going to care about the air the most. And through the corner down to the center, they get down to about mid-180s. Excuse me, mid-80s. And that makes it more of just who can run more consistent on the line and not so much being able to mirror drive if you're the leader. But Matthew Cox doing a good job here, settling in. I think he felt the pressure coming from Austin Fitzgerald. He's got a lot of great teammates in Joshua Watson, Brian Watson, Richard Elliott, and Adrian Watts. And I think they might have gotten his ear just a little bit here and said, excuse me, I'm thinking about the wrong, I apologize for that. I'm calling out the wrong team here. No, Team Watson Racing. He still does have the strong teammates. Brian Curry, who we actually have not, I did not notice him in the lineup tonight, so he must not have been here. The two teams that I get mixed up just slightly sometimes is Team Watson Racing and JBR E-Racing. You certainly don't get them mixed up when you see them racing side by side. Most of the guys over at JBR are with Ryko setups. Team Watson Racing, well, take a guess who makes their setups. So your top 5 right now, all pretty spread out. Nobody too close, but we do have a couple battles out on the track. In fact, here is one of those battles just outside the top 5. Looks like it is going to be the battle for 7th. Cody Richardson is trying to catch up to Scott Naslin, who is trying to make his move now. And Andrew Kotska, he's going to poke a nose to the inside down the straightaway. Sure enough, he is going to take it. We could see a little bit of bump and run action at some point in this race, but the beautiful thing about New Hampshire, as well, it's not only a beautiful track, of course, with a beautiful environment around it, is the racing itself. It is a very, very wide track, so while it might be flat, there is a lot of grooves that you can try to make work. But right now, it seems like kind of that middle, lowish groove has been the area to be, that the leaders have been up top, but any passes we've seen, they've just all been on the bottom. We've just not seen anybody be able to get the top working. Here's a look at Andrew Russo. Currently sits in the 25th position, up 2 spots from where he starts. And it looks like he is trying to hold off Cody Matthews, who sits probably about 3 or 4 car lengths back. Glenn Grigsby, one of the independent drivers, 27th. Christopher Hall and Brett Spod have both made their way onto the track. Unfortunately, multiple laps down, and it's not looking like they're going to have a great chance at going too far here tonight. A lot of laps, though, and hey, it never hurts getting points. Yeah, in fact, you see them both being scored 7 laps down. Kind of odd that they might have both had, well, basically an identical issue, if you will. I feel like we don't see that too often, but that's certainly what we see right here. And there's Austin Fitzgerald still sitting in that 2nd position, the driver out of Las Vegas. I think, you know, we talk about guys that have gotten most improved, guys that have gotten better, but Austin Fitzgerald is one of those things. He just needed that first win on the season, and from there he has been absolute fire. I guess is the best way to put it, on fire. 74 has not had a finish outside the top 10 too often since he got that first win at Atlanta. He'd like to extend, get a couple more wins. Was very fast last week at Atlanta. Unfortunately, a last lap move from Tyler Marble. Austin Fitzgerald caught the bad end of the stick. As we approach lap 25 of this event, Tyler Marble starting to catch his teammate. So far tonight, I think the team that's probably been the most consistent in terms of similar setups would probably be Team Marble iRacing. And the father and son duo of Tyler Marble and Jeff Marble. These guys are probably, I would say, the ones holding down the fort for the team at the most part. Now, hold on just a second. I'm not by any means counting out Brian Conklin. I'm saying in the sense of these two, when you see one of them running fast, you usually see the other one running just as fast up there. Now, Brian Conklin, he's been kind of the guy on the team that he's had the speed plenty of times. Maybe not quite as much, but he's also probably had the worst luck of any of the guys on the team. Has been caught in a lot of bad incidents, none of his doing. Seems like a lot of times there'll be an issue throughout the race. It'll get him sent to the back. He's got a car to get back up front. But we know how important track position is at any track we head to on the circuit. And when you get yourself caught in the back, it's just so easy to get caught in an incident, get found in a wreck, get trapped a lap down, and it's so hard to recover, especially at tracks like New Hampshire here, where if you're going to go a lap or two down, it's going to be really hard to get that lap back because we're going to have so many cars going a lap down. So you guys are going to be fighting hard to make sure that they can try to stay on that lead lap. Jeff Shutt in 17th, down a position from where he started. One of the Capital Auto Group drivers for No Excuses Racing, Thomas O'Hara, another one of the rookies for Triad Racing Enterprises. He sits just in front of him in 16th. Little battle just ahead here between Scott Glasso and Jared Bundy. Bundy's got the run down the straightaway, but we've talked about the inside, so I'm curious, can the 6 make it work? Oh, he can't. Gets way too high, almost up into the wall. He's going to have to forfeit 2 or 3 positions here. Looks like he's going to have to tuck in line probably behind the 07 of O'Hara right here. But, man, that was a close call, and it is another one of those tracks. You just missed the line a little bit, and you get up the track. It seems like you cannot seem to get it to turn at all. The middle line, the place to be. And now Matthew Cox, he got off to a great lead, and then all of a sudden Austin Fitzgerald started to track him down, and now he is right back to where he started, trying to get another big lead over Austin Fitzgerald, up to almost 0.8 of a second now. There's Scott Naisland working his way to the inside here of Jeff Marble. This is the battle for 4th position. Naisland's got a little bit of a run here. And the best way you're going to pass is to just set up the run. Unless you're planning on using the chrome horn, I think you got to maybe try to run just a little bit higher, kind of get that arc it down off of the corner, and you got to set yourself up for the next set of corners. Jeff Marble, though, that time, even though he was on the outside, was able to fend off Cody Richardson, who tried to sneak to the inside along with Scott Naisland. He could not quite make it work. Racing so far, though, tonight has been very clean. I mean, we have really not seen any incidents. Looks like Brett Spott, unfortunately, he is back on the pits, but besides that, in terms of any guys wrecking, getting in the grass, we don't have any data on it, that's for sure. And in that case, we're just going to assume that it hasn't really happened yet. Cody Richardson still looking to the inside here of Jeff Marble, and Joshua Watson, he is up to 7th, and he's looking to close in on this group. Cody Richardson and Jeff Marble, see if he can pick these two guys off. Andrew Kotska, who was running 3rd earlier, he is back to 8th. Down 5 positions from where he started, but we're only about a 5th of the way through this race, so he's still got plenty of time. Let's talk a little bit more about, I would say, I guess a couple different things here. Usually we save this stuff for later in the race, but I'm kind of feeling like doing it early today. Let's start with your regular season's point standings. Jeff Marble leads the way, and that was capitalizing. Jeff had some good runs while Josh had some not so good runs, and he finds himself 10 points ahead of the man with the most wins on the season. Tyler Marble sits in 3rd, Austin Fitzgerald 4th, Cody Richardson in 5th, Andrew Nieder 6th, Alan Pajari 7th, Andrew Kotska in 8th, Bill Benedict in 9th, and Jerry Isaac's been talking about him having a couple good runs lately. He finds himself in the top 10 now. And we meant to put one of those as the schedule. For some reason, it copied both of them as the, I guess, as the points. So that's a little odd. So we'll go ahead and talk about your schedule by hand. But the other thing I do want to talk about is the playoff standings, because this is what most drivers are going to put their eyes on. If you're leading the points, of course, you're going to go for the regular season championship. But if you're one of these guys here that's a little bit closer to the bubble, right now you are thinking about how can you find a way to get yourself inside the bubble. So Joshua Watson, maybe not leading in regular season points, but he is leading the playoff battle with 8 wins on the season and 33 playoff points. Tyler Marble, 2nd most wins. 2, actually, he's tied for the 2nd most wins with Sean Kaltenbach. He sits 2nd in those playoff points. Jeff Marble 3rd. And they go down to where things start to get a little bit more scary here, and that is going to probably be, I would say, 14th to 19th position. Tracy Powers, Johnny McCulchuk, and Scott Glasso. Those 3 guys are kind of on that bubble range, just making it into the round of 16 right now if they can hold it. But Scott Naisland, Brian Conklin, and Jacob Musso, I'd say the 2 biggest threats there are probably going to be Naisland and Conklin. If they can get on a hot streak here, they certainly could take a couple of those positions away. And Brian Conklin, with a little bit of change of luck, he could also very well find himself in the top 16 in standings here soon. All right, the biggest event that we're going to have here on Ghost Racing Network in a little while is going to be the PGR SummerSlam 75 this Thursday. I'm telling you, this is not something you're going to want to miss if you're all for watching high-stakes action. First of all, let's talk about the fact that this is a 60-person event, and already there's only 16 spots left. $750 guaranteed to the winner, even if we only had one driver. There's still going to be top 10 payouts, though, and since we continue to get more and more drivers, those payouts just continue to increase. Race green flag at 10 o'clock on Thursday will be, again, broadcasted live here on Ghost Racing Network. Make sure you don't miss out. It is going to be a good one. Back live on track here at New Hampshire. No changes yet. Austin Fitzgerald and Matthew Cox, they just keep going back and forth in terms of trading lap times. In fact, let's take a look at it here between the two. Yeah, there you go. 3 laps. Looks like Matthew Cox runs faster. 2 of the laps, Austin Fitzgerald runs faster. So these guys just continue to battle it out. And while it may not be a side-by-side battle, it's a battle of who can stay the most consistent the longest. And if they can stay close together for long enough, then it might come down to who can execute on pit road better. But talking about the event that we just talked about, one of the reasons that we brought it up is because some of the guys that are going to be in it, and it's going to be all of the JBR E-Racing drivers, starting with Adrian Watts, of course, the new rookie on the team. He will be in it. You look at Joshua Watson, currently running in 6th. He's going to be in it. You go all the way back to Brian Watson. We know he's going to be it. And Richard Elliott, he will also be in this event. And those 4 guys, they've been fast. I'll tell you what, the money racing is a whole different beast. These guys know it. They've been experiencing it. But how about JBR E-Racing looking to see if they can go out, maybe sweep the top 4, you never know, or at least try to get one of their teammates a big payday of $750. We will be keeping a close eye on them, and Richard Elliott won't be hard to spot with that beautiful Ghost Racing Network paint scheme. So Austin Fitzgerald has started to trim it back down. The lead, that is, the gap to the leader, got it down to about half a second. Again, we talk about it kind of oscillating back and forth between half a second and a second. But these two just kind of continue to mimic each other's lines almost. And right there where he gets a little bit loose, that's the sketchiest part of the corner. You're trying to get the hammer down, but it's just the back tires. They want to spin. Again, there's no banking to really give you any of that downforce on the side. Not on the side, excuse me, just downforce in general. And it's really hard to get the lateral grip there. Austin Fitzgerald is really struggling. Let's see how different he looks, though, from your leader, Matthew Cox. Now, these 2 cars, especially on entry, they look very secure. You can see them. They're not getting really loose at all. They both run up to about the middle. They kind of get the arc, but they don't dive all the way down. They stay towards the middle, a little bit of an arc off the turn. Yeah, Matthew Cox, the back end, looks a little bit more secure right now. I wonder if it's just a slight bit of dirty air for Austin Fitzgerald, or if Matthew Cox's setup is just built a little bit better right now. Scott Naslin, I know he's 6 seconds back, but he's up to 3rd. Running a little bit of a higher line than the front 2. We'll see. Maybe he can start to slowly catch up to the leaders. Joshua Watson now has his sights set on Tyler Marble and the 48. New Hampshire, one of those tracks. Still, though, you got to be very methodical with how you pass somebody. You don't want to make a big mistake or a big checkup, because it's going to take probably another handful of laps or so to get all the way back up there. And you see Joshua Watson I think he's trying to make Tyler, maybe playing little mind games here, trying to make Tyler make the first mistake. Tyler staying very disciplined here, holding that line that Joshua Watson wants to run, and we might see a little bit of a bumper tap. Now, the apron is open here at New Hampshire. In fact, it's wide open. And you'll see it here once we get down into turn 1. Below that yellow line, there's quite a bit of room. Sometimes we'll see guys take that, especially if it's a restart and everything's all clogged up, but nobody's really done so now. There it is. Joshua Watson's going to set him up off of 2, and he's going to duck the nose down here. He might commit to it. It's looking like he's going to do that. We'll see. Does Tyler Marble try to beat him into the corner? He does. Oh, Joshua Watson, a little bit of contact. Oh, the 0-1's going to go around. Joshua Watson spins it. Yellow flag is out. Everybody else is going to miss him. Oh, that's a mistake from the 0-1. And he's going to get this thing back rolling. But trouble in the early runnings here, just about at the 3rd way through this race. First caution of the night, and it is for a spin involving Joshua Watson. Gets it back going here. He's going to be okay. He didn't get any damage. He's just going to have to slap 4 fresh Goodyears on it. And he should be good to go. But let's go back and take a look at what's going to go wrong here for him. I mean, we saw it, of course, live on the chopper cam there. But I got to wonder, I think we got to start with the onboard cam here. Does he cut Tyler Marble too much of a break? You know, he kind of tries to commit here. Let's back this up all the way to where it's going to start here. Down the backstretch. He's got his nose out, and he's already committed to this point. A lot of times this is kind of that universal sign from a driver. Hey, man, I want the spot. I feel like I'm faster. And Tyler's trying to hold it. Just slight contact, and man, I'm surprised how quick it sends Joshua around. Yeah, it's really slight contact. He bails out of the throttle pretty much completely, and it just goes around on him. Not really much more to it. Take a couple more looks at it. Cody Richardson does a nice job of avoiding him, and then you're going to see 2 cars slide right by the outside here. Close call. I believe that might have been Andrew Kotska, somebody else. And here's from the TV3 view. Does a pretty good job there, I think, of actually letting it roll a little bit more so that it can come back down the track. I think if he locks it up, he slides up a little more there, and he might maybe gets T-boned in the side, and that would certainly create a lot more problems. Would not want that. Either way, Joshua Watson with a spin early, that's going to send him to the back, and all that track position that he worked to get, he's going to lose. But everybody's going to come down to the pits here, and now it gets a lot closer on fuel, especially knowing what we heard from Johnny McCallchuck. Let's say these guys can go 80 laps. We're looking at about 125, but if we were to get some cautions, I think that's what would make it interesting. If we don't get any cautions, probably expecting one more pit stop, and whether or not guys try any strategy, that could be another interesting factor here. If we get that late green flag pit stop, do some guys maybe try to take no tires or just 2 tires, and how much of a fall off is there? We're going to take a look at the lap times coming to that caution, and it looks like the last couple laps there, looks like we're going to count lap 42 here and say at the 32.09. Keep an eye on that lap time, and we will see how that compares here to fresh tires once these guys get back going. But man, Matthew Cox has been stellar from the drop of the green. Let's see if we can find him in Discord, maybe get an interview from him real quick. If not, you could check one of these other guys out. But yeah, I didn't really see Team Watson racing around too much here tonight. And it looks like that's going to hold true in the sense of I am not seeing him around as it stands right now. Austin Fitzgerald, though, second, and it was really interesting watching those two kind of go back and forth in the sense of I think they're both pretty even in terms of cars. Matthew Cox maybe a little bit faster, but let's see what Austin Fitzgerald thinks here, if he can maybe get some clean air on the nose. Hey, Austin, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Austin, I got you.
Well, we're watching. It may not be a side-by-side battle as we talked about, but it is certainly a battle of lap times between you and Matthew Cox right now. The cars, I don't know. Do you think you got about even here? What's separating you guys? Because it seems like you just keep trading.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because we're kind of both running completely different lines at certain times. But yeah, I was trying to hold back at first and see if I get him on the long run, but he has good long run pace and short run pace. So we'll kind of just see what happens as the track breaks in some more here. And I got Scott right behind me, so he's good at these type of tracks. So I got to watch out for him now too.
Well, real quick, just before you go green, if you had a preference here, are you hoping that we can run the rest of the way green, or would you maybe look for another caution or two?
I am all about the long runs. I'd love to go green.
All right, thanks for talking to us. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Rolling back as the pace car is going to pull off here, and we will slide Austin Fitzgerald right back down to his teammates. Watch him on the restart here as he works his way through the gears. Pace car going to take the hard left turn. We work our way back to the Geico restart zone. If he can get a better restart this time, maybe he's got something for him. Green flag is back in the air here at New Hampshire. Works his way through the sequential here down into turn one. He's going to try to hang even. No, actually, does he play a little different this time? Maybe a little crossover action here? What does he do? Cold tires. Going to be a little bit of a factor right here. All these guys should have 2 sets left in the pits, by the way. And sure enough, he is going to tuck right in line in second. The battle, though, throughout the track's a little bit more intense this time than what we saw in that first restart. We still got side-by-side here in the back. These guys have definitely not all got it sorted out yet. Jeff Marble side-by-side with Kyle Oakley. Think he'll be able to get this spot down into turn one. There's the rookie, Adrian Watts. looking to the inside of Tyler Marble. He was able to get there, but Tyler, nice drive off the corner. Can he hold it? The 03's trying to get to the quarter panel. In fact, he does. And that is going to allow Adrian Watts another shot at it here down into turn 3 into the back of the pack here. Looks like maybe one of the Mad Sim Racing drivers. Sure enough, Jerry Isaacs stuck in the middle of the 2x2 battle here. He runs next to Scott Glasso, Bill Benedict, and Jeff Shutt just ahead of him. And there's Joshua Watson. Keep an eye, folks. He is going to be fun to watch as he works his way back to the pack. He's got a lot of work to do, but he's still got a lot of time to do it. 100 laps, actually just over 100 laps left here at New Hampshire. But only a mile-long track, and the laps, they have been going pretty quick so far, I will say that. On track for probably about another hour's worth of racing at this point. Race is pretty consistent. Usually an hour and a half here the nights for FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series. Don't forget, we got another race broadcasted here pretty much just after this one. Will be a 30-minute interval or so. Dega Pros Money Racing at Talladega. Don't miss out on that one. I see that there are still some of you in the chat, so if you're out there watching and you're not currently driving out on the track, let me know, what do you think of the tower on the left so far? Normally it's transparent and we have the driver colors. We changed it now to all black and white numbers. We got the red lines in between. If anybody out there has a favorite, because that will certainly sway how we decide if we decide to keep it or go back to the old one next week. Yellow flag is in the air. Bill Benedict with trouble, as he is to a slow roll on the front stretch. Oh man, right side's pretty banged up. He might have some toe out of whack as well. And from that view, it looked like steering wheel was a little offset to the right. Couldn't tell how bad it was, but the hood is definitely crumpled up. So he's hit something, and he's hit something pretty hard. I'm thinking it's going to be, nope, it's going to be the outside wall. It's going to get to the inside. It's right on board to start here to see what he saw from his eyes. This is out of 4. Ooh, just gets loose on him, and then Joshua Watson was to his inside. They make some contact, and he takes a couple of blunt shots there. Now let's look at it from the outside view here. And this looks like when he gets loose. Watch the car here. We're going to play it in slow. Yeah, it just starts getting loose. So when he does, it's going to start taking him down the track. You know, at this point, the 90 would be up the track if he wasn't loose, you know, running the normal line. So that's kind of what Joshua Watson's expecting. Unfortunately, Joshua Watson, once he starts to run up and the 90's loose, that's where they make the contact. You got to hope Joshua Watson doesn't have too much damage from that. But Jacob Musso, man, that's a tough break for him. It looks like he certainly got some. Yeah, the 95, the front end's pretty beat up. Joshua Watson, though, man, that's a prime example of you get yourself in the back and there's just trouble knocking at your door, it seems like, every lap. Bill Benedict, though, definitely got the worst of it. Looks like maybe got a little bit of rear end damage. Yep, sure enough, he did. We'll take one more view of this from TV3. And no safer barrier there on the outside wall here in New Hampshire, at least down the straightaway. So definitely does a little bit more damage when you're hitting concrete first, the safer barrier. And yeah, I think he's got some suspension damage potentially on the right front. If not, he's got certainly pretty bad aero damage. But a track like New Hampshire, you might be okay if you have all your RPMs. We'll have to find out. But how about up front? Matthew Cox still leading the way. Austin Fitzgerald was able to hold him a little bit more and touch that run. Scott Naslund sits 3rd. Cody Richardson in 4th. Adrian Watts 5th. Tyler Marble 6th. Jeff Marble 7th. Kyle Oakley 8th. Alan Pajari 9th. And Tracy Powers. Haven't talked too much about Tracy tonight. Good run last week. Got to talk to him up in the booth a couple times. He finds himself inside the top 10 right now, looking to make it another good run. Mark Sabak says, I like the bar on the top. The ticker, huh? There it is. Pull it up right there for you real quick, just so you see it. All right, I like the note, Mark. I'll tell you what, I'll try to work on it a little bit here. We'll see what we can do in future weeks. We usually like to run the tower for the most part because sometimes the ticker likes to give us issues. But appreciate the feedback, Mark. Glad you're out there watching and not a robot responding to when we ask some questions. Hope you're enjoying yourself out here tonight. So 55 of 150 completed. Now, I'd be a little shocked to see anybody pit here. I don't think it's worth wasting a tire set. I think you got to save that, unless maybe you're at the back and you want to try some strategy. But with still just under 100 laps to go here, probably going to be 90-something once we go green. Still expecting one more pit stop, but it's starting to get a lot closer here. You know, these guys do save some fuel over a run here at New Hampshire. But I don't think anybody can quite make it yet, at least not if we don't get a couple more cautions. But even if we do get a couple more cautions, I expect guys are going to have to come down at least one more time, of course, for some tires. And if you have tires at the end, you certainly want to take them here. It's going to make a big difference. But more importantly, you need to make sure that you take them early enough, because it's going to be pretty easy to get trapped behind guys. Looking at the lap times there, it looks like the last lap that we were able to record for Matthew Cox before the caution flew was a 30.9. And that is absolutely flying. So the fall off is definitely over a second from new tires to old tires. You got to remember, we weren't even on the oldest tires yet. We still had quite a ways to run on them, probably another 40 laps or so when the first caution had came out. Row 1 going to be Matthew Cox and Austin Fitzgerald. Austin, boy, he's starting to get good practice, trying a couple different things here. Scott Naslin, though, really been impressive here tonight. Kind of rooting for him. Still looking for his first win on the season. He's had a fast car. He was one of those guys that started off pretty good in the early part of the season. A little bit of struggles here lately, but he's got a fast car tonight. We'll see if he can maybe give the two leaders, the two most dominant cars up to this point, a run for their money. Green flag is back in the air. Taking a look from the blimp cam this time. Austin Fitzgerald, he's going to continue to try different lines, but you see he just cannot really get the car to rotate. This time, no, he's able to make it hang on the outside. He's trying, he does. Hangs to the outside of Matthew Cox. They are going to stay side by side as we work our way into 3. How long can he make that outside work, though? He's going to have to pull up a little bit more in the corner, but he's getting another good run through the center. The hardest part, though, is holding it on exit, and he's not going to be able to do it. He's going to lose that spot a little bit further back. Adrian Watts, Tyler Marble, they stay side by side. Adrian Watts is going to try to maybe get a 2-for-1 ride here on Cody Richardson as well. Dynamic Autosports, two-person team. Oh, Cody Richardson gets loose contact. Up into the wall. They're not all going to be able to check up. Are they? Oh, my goodness, they do. They all miss him somehow, some way. Cody Richardson still slow as he stays up on the wall, trying to make sure everybody can get by. And Cody, yeah, he's got some right front damage from that. It's not too bad. The biggest thing that's hurt him here is all the track position he just lost. You see the right side of the hood crumpled just a little bit. Let's go back, rewind this just a little bit and take a look here. Just looks like he got a little bit loose. Car on his inside, that little bit of contact, almost the same as what we saw to Bill Benedict. Actually, he might have corrected this himself just to make sure he kept it out. Could not tell. No, he doesn't. There is going to be some contact here. Talked about it all night. Get loose off the corners. There's the contact. He locks it up just a second and then tags that outside wall. And man, I cannot believe that some of these guys missed him, but they did and avoided potentially another caution. So Cody now back to 25th, down 20 from where he started. We talked about he's got a lot of positions that he is going to have to make up. But single file up front, Matthew Cox is trying to pull away from Austin Fitzgerald. Been kind of the trend all night, but Scott Naslin, this was the furthest up he's been able to restart all night, and we had noted in the last run that he was starting to slowly track him down just a little bit. So we'll see now that he's up here in the top 3 with a lot less distance to have to close up. Maybe once we get into the long run here, the 22 finds something and starts to make his way to the back bumper of Austin Fitzgerald, and maybe has a shot at the lead. Adrian Watts, he's been impressing here all night and all season since he broke onto the scene as a rookie. Had a chance at a win at Kansas, unfortunately couldn't quite get it. Maybe looking for another one here tonight. 2 of the Team Marble iRacing drivers, Jeff Marble, Tyler Marble, there they are running 5th and 6th. Tyler Marble with 2 wins on the season, tied for second most, of course, with Sean Kaltenbach. And Sean's actually not out here tonight. I'm wondering kind of where he's been at recently. There's a look at Jeff Marble. Call him Mr. Long Run, and Austin Fitzgerald is starting to give him a run for the money on that title. But Jeff has always been one of the guys that talks about he loves the long runs. That's the thing that he feels like he's got the strongest car at, is every week we get into a long run and look at these guys work the wheel. I'm telling you, it is not easy to hold a wheel that tense for this many laps, and you're feeling every little bump that you feel in the car. It starts to spin. You have got to be able to feel that. Now, like I said, everybody has looked pretty stable on entry and through the center. Exit has really been the trouble spot for most people. You're trying to get as straight of a drive off as possible, but you also got to be able to run a good amount of speed through the corner. And Jeff is still looking for a little something here on lap 63 of 150. Kyle Oakley with a pretty good run here in 7th right now, up 2 spots from where he started. Alan Pajari just behind him. But Joshua Watson, where did this guy come from? You got to wonder, was this a little bit of strategy play here? Or is he just that fast? I mean, he's probably not too happy right now, and he is laser focused, and that is probably helping him run as fast as he is right now. He is absolutely hauling his way through the field, up back inside the top 10. And we noted he didn't have any damage from that first wreck, so he doesn't have to worry about that. All he's got to worry about is trying to get as much track position as he can before time runs out here on lap 150. Jeff Shutt in the 27. Good run for him. Sits in 10th. Scott Glasser just behind him, 11th. Brian Conklin in 12th. Jacob Musso in 13th, and he is trying to hold off a handful, a group of cars, if you will. Tracy Powers in 14th, trying to take that spot. Andrew Kotska and Jerry Isaacs, 2 teammates just behind those two. Ryan Haynes, the 39 machine, he's made up some positions since last time we checked on him. He is now up to 17th, up 7 spots from where he started. One of the BMP Racing drivers. And when we get to the playoffs, don't believe New Hampshire is one of these tracks, but you think about some of the tracks that these guys are going to have to see again, and tracks that you want to prepare for the playoffs. Maybe there's some tracks that you don't like in the playoffs, and that's why it's so important to put as much work in as you can in the regular season, because it just seems like it always comes down to just a couple points. It does in real life, and it does in the sim. The craziest thing, but with it always kind of coming down to that, you got to make sure you have every position at the end. Otherwise, you might be kicking yourself saying, man, what if I would have had just a little bit more at the end? Here's a battle between Richard Elliott and Johnny Mikulchuk. Mikulchuk's going to take that position. That was for 19th. Thomas O'Hara just behind Richard Elliott. We'll see if he can maybe find a way to look to the inside here shortly. Talking about that move earlier that we saw with Joshua Watson that kind of got him spun out. Well, it did get him spun out, not so much kind of. We haven't seen that move as much, you know. That's where it just becomes the battling minds of drivers. Tyler Marble may have felt like his car was fast. He just needed a couple laps. Joshua Watson was saying to himself, hey, man, I have got to go. You are in my way. But what's going to be interesting here is when Joshua Watson gets back to Tyler Marble. I'm not saying he's going to give him any payback or anything. It didn't look like anything intentional, but how's he go about this move the second time around? He knows the result the first time. Does he maybe get a little bit more forceful with it? Does he try to get a little bit lower? Does he maybe take it a little bit slower? What does he decide to do with it? That is the biggest question. Matthew Cox, he has led every single lap up to this point. Lap 69 coming to lap 70. Doing a heck of a job here. But Austin Fitzgerald still kind of just back and forth. And Scott Naisland has not let the 74 check out either. But they're going to have to, I think, find a way to get ahead of Matthew Cox on the restart. Because we've just so far not been able to see them find a way around, at least in the long run, that is. And there's Scott Naisland, maybe just about a quarter of a lane lower than Austin Fitzgerald. It does sound like he's running a little bit harder. We don't hear guys scrubbing tire too much here, which is very easy to do. That's telling me that everybody's making sure that they save their tires for the long run here, which is what we're probably expecting. The more separated everybody gets, the cleaner things run. Talked about the downshift a couple different times tonight. And everyone that we've seen so far, the setups, everybody's setups, of course, that we've seen have all been 5th gear at the straightaway. As the longer the run goes on, the later down the straightaway they're actually able to get to 5th gear. And then they get down to 4th through the turns. But people do it differently. Don't quote me again, I can't see everything, but from some of the driver cams, it looks like for example, Jeff Marble uses the paddle shifters, which I know a lot of guys do. I know I do on the next gens. And then Austin Fitzgerald, he uses sequential. And I know some guys have preferences for certain things. You know, some guys look at it as if you're on the paddles, you can, of course, still work the wheel at the same time with both hands on it. Other guys like the feel of the real race car, and they like to use that sequential shifter only up and down for 5 gears. And you can't skip gears either with it. Brian Conklin now up to 12th, up 3 from where he started. He might have heard us talking about it because he started to put together a little bit of a good run here. Scott Glasso's looking to the inside of Kyle Oakley. Oh man, there was almost a little bit of contact there. They managed to avoid any. But Glasso's going to continue to look to the inside here. Oakley's going to give him plenty of room. And can Scott get clear? There's that big drive on the outside line, center and off the corner. The question is always trying to make it stick. Oakley does. Scott's just going to have to tuck back in line, maybe stalk him for a couple more laps to try to make his move a second time. Talked about lap traffic. Looks like Matthew Cox is going to be coming up on the first version of that lap traffic here. And Bill Benedict, the man who's probably got the worst damage on the track here as of tonight, got involved in that second caution, made contact with the inside wall, or the outside wall rather. Triad Racing Enterprises driver, not the night he wanted, but he's still sticking in it, trying to gain any points that he can. Oh, up into the outside wall again here for Bill Benedict. Yeah, that car just may not be handling too well after the damage he sustained. And there goes Matthew Cox. But what I wanted to bring up with the lap traffic was that first car that Matthew Cox is one of the first few, I should say, that he's had to deal with so far here tonight for lap traffic. And the heaviest part of the traffic right now, you can see, is still probably about half a track in front of him. So he's still got plenty of time before he has to worry about it. But eventually when he does, if Austin Fitzgerald can stay close enough, that could be his best shot at maybe trying to find a pass. But the gap now is over a second between first and second. Scott Naslin, the gap between him and Austin Fitzgerald is a lot smaller than that. In fact, just about 0.3 of a second. Adrian Watts in fourth. Tyler Marble rounding out your top five. So if you're Matthew Cox, what's going through your head right now in terms of strategy? What do you want to do here? You can pit early, you can pit late. I've always been a fan of, in situations like this, when you know you're going to be plenty good on fuel with just one stop, split it down the middle. But if some guys are maybe saving a little bit more fuel and trying to save some tires, maybe they decide to go in as late as possible and just take either no tires or 2 tires. And you got to, I mean, if you can't beat a guy out on the track, then your only other shot is to try to beat him in pit road. So we will see who can try that out and who it can work for. But if you're Matthew Cox and you have a big enough lead, I like the idea of maybe just splitting this in half, taking yourself 4 tires, and then you don't have to worry about saving as much tire. You can run the same way you've been running all this race and maybe just try to pull away from the field for the rest of it. 77 of 150 laps completed at New Hampshire. We are now officially over halfway through the New Hampshire 150. You're watching Ghost Racing Network. We'll be right back. Back live at New Hampshire Motor Speedway here for the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series. Watching here on Ghost Racing Network. Looks like Mark Zabox has leave the bar on the top. I'll tell you what, Mark, we can for a little bit. We still got sponsors that we have to put on the right side there. Sponsors or logos, whatever you want to call them. So we'll have to go back to the tower eventually, but 82 of 150 laps completed so far, and Matthew Cox continues to show his dominance tonight. He has been, well, I think he's In fact, yeah, sure enough, he's the only Team Watson Racing driver out here tonight. And how cool would that be for his first win to come on the one night that he's got no teammates in the field? He could hold down the fort for him for sure. But he's still got a long ways to go here. And you know that Austin Fitzgerald and Scott Naisland, they're not going to let up anytime soon. In fact, the gap is down now to about 0.6 of a second. So Fitzgerald is starting to catch back up. It seems like it kind of just keeps happening. Catches up, then fades back, catches up, and then fades back again. But looking through your field here, some of the battles. This one right here between Alan Pajari and Jeff Shutt. Looks like Jeff Shutt is going to go ahead and close that ordeal out pretty quick. That was the battle for 10th. Andrew Kotska in 11th. Let's go back and check on how some of these guys are doing that had trouble earlier, but been talking about making their way back to the front. Joshua Watson back up to 7th, which was around the area that he was when he had that incident where he got, well, he didn't really get spun, he kind of just spun. Either way. Kyle Oakley in 8th position right now. Scott Glasstone 9th. Jeff Shutt, we just talked about those. You're rounding out your top 10. Alan Pajari now under fire from Andrew Kotska, who's going to take that position away without too much of a fight. Ooh, Jeff Shutt almost made some, excuse me, Johnny McCulchuk almost made some contact right there with Jared Bundy. Maybe even did make slight contact. They all get it together. Richard Elliott up five spots from where he started in 21st now. And there's Cody Richardson, fell back to 25th after that contact with the wall, and he's made up 3 spots, but it's just that at that pace, that's just not enough for the finish that he was wanting and probably expecting with the way he was running here early on in this race. I think he's going to need a couple cautions and maybe to pull some strategy game here. And you see Brian Watson's going to actually try to make a move work on the outside of the 46. Trying to get it to stick down the straightaway here. Not sure if it's going to. Looks like he was able to make it stick, but to get down the turn, it's going to get a little bit more tricky for him. Taking a look, Mark's a box says money talks. Well, I'll tell you what, if money talks, feel free to leave us a super chat donation down in chat if you want us to leave in the ticker up. No, I'm just playing, but that does remind me a couple other things. I don't believe I had announced this last time, or last Monday here during the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series. By the way, Atlanta did not disappoint. Another thriller of a finish. I've been loving some of the 1.5 miles, and of course I've always been a super speedway fan, but Atlanta this season, I was very impressed. I know there was a couple guys that wanted to go to old Atlanta, and I know sometimes there's chaos as part of new Atlanta, but man, really love the finishes we got both times around. Tyler Marble wasn't a photo finish the second time around as Tyler Marble got the win last week, but it certainly was a good one nonetheless. He made a stellar move on the last lap on the backstretch to get the job done. But getting back to the action on track and what we were just talking about before that, I guess I should say, was Ghost Racing Network does now have our own merch. Bryce has his logo, of course, the red logo on hoodies, hats, stickers, I believe, all that sort of stuff. And then the green logo, I made a couple of design hoodies. I don't know if my designs got kept or not. But you go check them out, I guess, if you got some free time. You want to support the channel. We do have super chats and other things available. Oh, caution. Caution is out. Brian Watson, trouble in the back. Oh, big trouble for teammates. What has happened here? And we are going to go back to the tower now. 89 of 150 laps completed. Man, what happened to these two? Not seeing too much damage, at least on the front ends. Let's go back here, take a look. The third caution of the night, too. This is going to shake some things up for sure. Ooh, looks like Richard Elliott. Is this going to be similar to what we saw with Joshua Watson? It's looking like it certainly is. Let's go to the chopper view for it. He's under the 6 here, but ooh, I'm thinking maybe he carries too much speed. Yeah, maybe just a little bit, as it looks like he tried to all of a sudden check up and the car just didn't really turn. Watch this in slow motion. Jared Bundy's starting to come down. Yeah, I would say that's kind of a mix. Looks like Bundy's starting to come down, but Richard Elliott may have carried a little bit too much speed because he was also going up. He goes around from it, and then Brian Watson just nowhere to go. Slight contact with his teammate, nothing too bad, and they're going to slide up, come to a rest on the outside turn 4 safer barrier. Give you a couple more angles of it here. And that's just Yeah, it's just typical New Hampshire, I guess, the best way to put it. Similar, like I said, to what we saw with Joshua Watson, and similar in the sense of neither guy got damaged, so they're going to be able to walk away unscathed physically, but maybe a little bit scathed mentally in the sense of they're going to have to think about, they have to make up all the track position that they worked well on the entire run here that we just had under green to gain. There's Richard Elliott, got the bright green Ghost Racing Network logo on the front of his Chevy Camaro. Let's go back live though. Strategy. Thomas O'Hara going to stay out here. He might be either pitting or looking to get something here. I'm not sure what strategy he's got up his sleeve. We'll have to find out. Matthew Cox in second. Austin Fitzgerald third. Scott Naslin in fourth. Tyler Marble rounds out your top five. Jeff Marble in sixth. Joshua Watson in seventh. Kyle Oakley in eighth. Adrian Watts ninth. And Jeff Shutt rounding out your top 10. So we know we're going to be good to go on fuel from here. And these guys could all make 70 to 80 laps. We are already under 60 to go. So the question all becomes tires, saving tires, long run, and if we get another caution, who's got tires, right? Because if you have a set left at this point and we get a caution, I'd say somewhere in the window of 20 to 30 laps from now, you got to put those last sets on if you got it. But we're not gonna have to worry about seeing any green flag stops this race. Matthew Cox with good run. Austin Fitzgerald, Scott Naslin, all been on fire tonight. Joshua Watson though, what a recovery. In fact, let's go see if we can get a word with him. All right. Hey, Josh, this is all set up in the booth. You got a copy? Well, one thing we know is you went to the back and you're back to the front. How'd you do it? Now, we saw the incident earlier. I know you're getting ready to go green, but just a quick little breakdown. What happened there? Hey, you certainly are. Hey, thanks for giving us a quick word. Good luck the rest of the way. We'll see if you can get a win. That's Joshua Watson. Field working their way back off of turn 4. Fourth, well, I guess third restart here tonight. Green flag back in the air. Almost 2/3 of the way through this 150-mile race. Matthew Cox, Thomas O'Hara, who did stay out, by the way. He committed to stay there. Ooh, bad start for the 07. Way up to the top of the track he goes. He's going to lose at least one position, maybe a couple more rows of position. Oh, 3 wide. Oh, we got Scott Naslin into the wall. 3, 4, 5 wide. They fan out all to miss him. Scott Naslin still in the wall. Oh, he's not going to be able to check up. This is going to get ugly. We got a big wreck. Glenn Grigsby in the wall hard. The 07 gets T-boned by Bill Benedict. Caution is back out. And that's going to be the big one. Big wreck. We'll have to take a look at it. Man. The drama continues to build. Well, let's go back and take a look. This really starts off at turn 2. And it was a really bit of kind of an odd look for Scott Naslin. I'm assuming he must have gotten loose here. But this wreck kind of develops all the way down the backstretch and doesn't fully become a wreck until turns 3 and 4. All right, let's take a look. And let's go to the chop review for it. So the 07's running really high here. We knew this. He's going to be okay. Scott Naslin gets a little loose. Oh, man, he just overcorrects it. Didn't want to hit Tyler Marble, overcorrects. Back tires maybe spin a little bit, and he goes into the outside wall. Now, no harm, no foul. These guys all do a heck of a job missing him. We're all good. And then all of a sudden, you're going to see an on-rushing Glenn Grigsby come into the picture here, who was just not able to go up. Yeah, you see Jared Bundy, actually. I take that back. It was not Glenn Grigsby. Jared Bundy, who was not able to get down low in time, tags the back of the 07. That sends him into Scott Naslin, who's still riding the wall, and then the 64 of Glenn Grigsby, the 88. A couple guys are going to get involved. Then there's Bill Benedict with the big contact as he T-bones the 07. And the 88 took a pretty good shunt there as well. That's Andrew Russo. Let's look at this from on board of Jared Bundy if we can here. Because I'm curious, you know, sometimes when you have a lot of guys swerving like that to try to miss a wreck, if you're running too close to the guy in front of you, again, you're not expecting a wreck. You can't see it to the last second. So let's see what exactly could Jared Bundy see here as he kind of approaches the wreck. So right here, he can't see anything. Doesn't even know that there's any trouble. Jumps to the outside. Still doesn't look like there's any trouble. And sees it. Tries to jump down. And I know you might look at it and say, well, I could see the cars there. How come he couldn't? Well, as a driver, you're not necessarily looking at everything we can see in the camera out from the broadcast view. He's probably focused here. Either might be looking to see if there's a car on his inside. He's focused on the 72's bumper. Or just that little bit of a small blind spot real quick from one of the roll bars there on the front windshield. It does not take much as fast as you're going at the end of the straightaway. Milliseconds, well, not milliseconds, but fractions of a second in terms of reaction time can cause pretty big wrecks like the one that we just saw there. Here's a couple more angles of it. Big shot for Glenn Grigsby as well, man. That's tough. And he's got heavy damage on the hood. I think two of those cars might be a night ender. I think they'll be able to continue on, but definitely not with really any speed. So this is going to put us to the restart probably right around 50 laps to go. Matthew Cox is still in the lead. Austin Fitzgerald in second. Tyler Marble third. Joshua Watson fourth. Jeff Marble rounding edge top 5. Adrian Watson 6th. Kyle Oakley 7th. Andrew Kotska 8th. Jeff Shutt in 9th. And Scott Glasso rounding edge top 10. So 50 laps to go. That's kind of that interesting spot. You know, how you still got to save a little bit of tire. I think maybe you got to make sure that you're saving tire till at least probably 20 to go, and then it's the question of, do you want to save maybe till 15 to go? But you don't want to save too long. Of course, if you mess around and you save too long, you let the guy pull away too far, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. So we will see how it's going to pan out. But again, I got to say at this point in the race, Matthew Cox, he's got the car to win. I mean, it's his race to lose. By no means is that an insult on anybody else in the top 4. Austin Fitzgerald. And, you know, that was a tough break for Scott Naslin in the sense of he had probably the third best car here tonight. We talked about at the beginning of the broadcast that he hadn't had a chance to show it. Had a couple tough breaks recently, and he's going to get another one with that damage here tonight. Green flag is back in the air. Matthew Cox, Austin Fitzgerald off to the races into turn 1. Tyler Marble and Joshua Watson following in suit. Joshua Watson, first time in the top 4 tonight. What can he make of it? Tyler Marble is looking to take this position from Austin Fitzgerald. First time tonight that we could be seeing this. He's not clear. Oh, yellow flag is in the air again. Must be in for an incident. Oh, wow, we got a little bit of another parking lot. Not really a parking lot, but a couple guys spun out here on the back. Looked like it was Bill Benedict. No, he gets through it. Excuse me. Looking for who the two guys were. Scott Glasso and Jeff Shutt, it looks like. And what is going to happen here? Oh, the 4 coming down. Did he have some contact with the wall? You kind of got to assume he must have. Oh, no, he doesn't. This is similar. He just gets a little bit loose, gets down, but it almost didn't look like there was any contact. You know, it didn't look like it from that angle. Let's look from the chopper. It looked like there might have been a little net code. Watch the 4. Watch the 4. He's coming down. He does a pretty good job. Yeah, there's no contact. Now, granted, they may have made contact if the net code wasn't there. But, yeah, the thing that turns the 27 is net code from the 4 coming down. And that turns Jeff Shutt head on into that outside wall. Tracy Powers, we saw up in the top 5 earlier. He's got nowhere to go, and then everybody else is going to bob and weave their way through it. Softer impact for Jeff Shutt than it could have been, I guess, but still going to give him some front end damage, and he certainly probably would have preferred to do without it. Let's take a ride on board here with Jeff Shutt. And this is one of those ones that as a driver, you are not ready for it, and there's nothing you can do about it. Except lock the brakes and hope that you can scrub off as much speed as possible before you hit the wall, but Just nowhere to run in that case for Jeff Shutt or Scott Glasso once they got together via netcode. So we are now over the 100 lap mark. That means 50 laps to go. In fact, 50 to go right now. Going to be 49 when we hit the line this time. Matthew Cox still leading the way, of course. Tyler Marble second, though. That's the big change right there. Tyler Marble's up 5 from where he started this race at. Joshua Watson up 8 from where he started. He's still hanging around the top 4 just like he was on the last restart. And Jeff Marble currently rounds out your top 5. Gotta kind of be wondering what Jeff's thinking here. He's had a long run car tonight, but is there something, maybe is there a little something more here that he can try to find towards the end of this race? That's probably what it's going to take if the 15 wants a shot, but let's go ask him for himself what he's thinking here. And Jeff Marble, by the way, for some reason, I feel like I might have been saying Jeff Shutt. I got to be honest. I did not get a lot of sleep last night, so if I did, I apologize. But it's Jeff Marble, the man that we just now got up into the booth. We'll see if we can get a second of his time. Hey, Jeff, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
How you doing, Austin?
Good. Well, hopefully we're not bothering you here too much, but we just wanted to ask you, you looking pretty solid so far here tonight. Is there any more you think that you can get out of the car?
No, that's all I got, man. The first run, I told the guys, I think my qualifying set's in here because I am on the right front big time. But when we made that pit stop, I got out of the car real quick to check what setup was in there. And it was the race set. So the bottom line is I was just racing it too hard at the initial green flag start. The second run, I took it a lot easier. The tire wear was way better. But it's just, I was just riding. I mean, I can't really get a run on anybody. Turn 2, I'm absolutely horrific. So I'm just along for the ride, Austin, and just try to make it to the end.
All right, well, again, solid run nonetheless tonight, so I can't imagine with the bad car how good you'd be doing right now if you had a great car. So thanks for talking to us, and we'll be keeping an eye on you the rest of the way.
Well, thank you, sir.
All right, we're going to slide Jeff back down to his team here. Getting ready for the restart here. Could it be the final restart? It could be. But we still have a decent amount of laps to go here at New Hampshire. Green flag is back in the air. Big change with Tyler Marble on the outside, but he does not get the jump he wanted. So now Austin Fitzgerald might have a shot to dive under him here down into turn 1. Ooh, Fitzgerald really sent it in. Maybe a little bit of contact there between him and the 48. That's going to allow Joshua Watson to pull alongside the 74 off turn 2. 3, maybe 4. Nope, sticking the 3 wide out back. Alan Pajari, Jerry Isaacs, they're all looking for more positions. His restarts have been getting more and more aggressive each time we've seen him. Looks like Jerry Isaacs is going to be able to take that position away from Tracy Powers. Meanwhile, up front, Matthew Cox looking to try to check out. This is the battle right now. Austin Fitzgerald knows he really needs to get in front of Joshua Watson, so he's going to make sure he sends it in there, and he does. Jeff Marble is looking to follow in the 74's tracks. He's to the inside. Oh, contact. Can Jeff hold on to it? He does. He's got to be careful here. It gets really sketchy. Oh, my goodness. Are you kidding me? What a save from Jeff Marble. Oh, caution's out, though. Jacob, oh man, this was in the back. There's Jacob Musso. Looks like, was Bill Benedict involved as well? I don't think the caution was for the amazing save by Jeff Marble. I think it might have been further back and we just didn't see it. Oh yeah, sure enough it is. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with the amazing save by Jeff Marble here because this was really, really close. Jeff had to probably be gripping the wheel a little bit tighter on this one. Watch this. Off of turn 2 here, there's going to be a little bit of contact. Actually, a little bit of netcode contact, and that puts Jeff Marble into the side of the 01. He wiggles, and I cannot tell you how hard it is. You're tempted to stay on the throttle to keep track position, but if he does and he jerks the wheel to the right, that thing is coming right back around. Up the track he would go, and that would be a lot of damage to big wreck. So nicely done there for Jeff Marble. Now let's go back and take a look at the wreck that's actually going to bring out the caution here. And watch this all the way down into turn 1. In fact, looking at TV3, watch for Jacob Musso here. He's on the inside. Oh, big checkup from the 27. Looks like the 95 maybe checks up in reaction to it. Jeff Shutt wasn't able to get the memo, though, in time. Excuse me, not Jeff Shutt. Jeff Shutt was the initial checkup. And that's just a lockup Honestly, on the 27th part, just the lockup here might have been in too hot. And that spooks Jacob Musso a little bit here, so he's going to get on the brakes. And Scott Glasso is the one that doesn't get the memo on time. Tags the 95 pretty hard in the back. That sends the 95 for a slide. Goes down here. He's going to slide back up, and Bill Benedict's going to give him a nice little tap. Both of those cars had pretty good front-end damage throughout the race tonight, so what's a little more going to hurt? Take a look from the cockpit view here of Jacob Musso, and listen to the throttle. Oh, and this is too far ahead. Back it up just a little bit here. Watch the checkup and then listen to the throttle. Yeah, he's out of it. Trying to slow up. Fortunately, they just don't in time. You know, I will say most of the wrecks here in New Hampshire kind of reminds me of bumper cars. In the sense of, it's usually not anybody taking these big hits like we see at other tracks, but mostly one car will get spun and then maybe tapped a couple times from everybody else. 108 of 150 laps completed so far here tonight. Starting to get a couple cautions though here. Sometimes this kind of thing can happen late in a race, and now we're on that window. I think the tires are becoming really tempting. I almost don't think you can do them yet, but I think if we get one more caution, maybe 10 to 15 laps from now, maybe even a little less, depending on how you want to go about it, I think you really got to take it. I think if you don't, and some other guys in the back take them, I think you're going to put yourself in a pretty vulnerable position. But we will see how everybody decides to go about it. Now, we always talk about that we like to get guys in here that maybe we don't always get to talk to. And the best way to get them in here is when they're having a good run, and we can pretty much get no better reason to talk to them than the fact that they're doing a great run. Kyle Oakley's doing a heck of a job tonight. Let's see if we can get a quick word with him. Hey, Kyle, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy? And we'll try him again here. Hey, Kyle, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy? And looks like we're not able to, unfortunately, get anything from Kyle right now, so we'll send him back down. But I guess if you can hear me, Kyle, you're having a great run tonight, and we're wishing you good luck the rest of the way, man. I might have scared him a little bit, for all I know at this point. Oh, man, oh, man. SWM, and I don't actually... Unfortunately, I don't remember exactly which Discord he was in. Oh, man. I feel like he might have been with Tracy Powers. No, take it back. There is an SWM Discord. I apologize for that. Get him back down there. We're getting ready for the restart anyway, so we're not going to have time for another interview. Green flag is back in the air. Oh, big jump again from the one of Matthew Cox. He has caught Tyler Marble sleeping on both of the last restarts. Austin Fitzgerald, he's going to try to find a way to get clear again here. Can he do it off of turn 2? He does. Nicely done by the 74. You can see Tyler Marble wheeling it off the turn, just could not quite get it done. Jeff Marble back to 4th, so I wonder, I guess the caution may have came out at a time where the scoring would cut him a break, and that's good news for him. Joshua Watson currently to his outside. A little bit more fierce battling going on a couple rows back to between Adrian Watts and Brian Conklin. Adrian's going to think about sailing it off into the corner. Two approaches when you get down into the inside of the corner. You either sail it off and kind of try to complete the slide job, if you will, or you take it more conservative and just hoping that the guy on the outside sails it in a little too deep, and you can work your way around without having to overwork the car. Ryan Haynes, what a run for this guy. Apparently running the driver cams gives these guys a little bit more of a confidence boost or something. I don't know, but he is up to 11th right now. Doing a nice job. Ooh, some contact further in the back. Cody Matthews and the 88 of Andrew Russo, they got together. Scott Glasso jumps to the outside. Brian Watson and Jared Bundy. We are seeing a lot more battling late in the race than what we saw earlier. Now, we did talk about track temp, and it was pretty fierce to start the race, and it's only gotten fiercer. About 118 to start. It is now up to 125. And that is certainly not going to help the handling on all these guys down the 38 lap stretcher that we've got left. Again, no more pit stops are scheduled. The only time we will see anybody coming down the pits at this point is if somehow they've got damage or if we get a yellow and they're wanting to take some tires. Back to side by side now between Tyler Marble and Austin Fitzgerald. Austin had got him clear. Not sure if he was trying to maybe play it conservative and hope that he could save a little tire, but Tyler Marble said, I will jump right back to the outside. Thank you very much. And he's going to make it work. Almost clear down the front stretch. He's going to use the momentum. And sure enough, he does get clear. You got to wonder if Austin was maybe just letting him go. Jeff Marble still in fourth, but he is trying to hold off a very, very eager Joshua Watson, who did say patience. That's what it took for him to get back up here, and he's going to try to remain patient the rest of the way, but it just gets hard as a driver sometimes. You tell yourself you want to be patient, and then you start seeing how much faster you are than a couple of the other guys. You start to rush things, but when you start to rush things, that's when things can start to go wrong. You can start to fall off. So a lot of props to Joshua Watson for continuing to do a great job and a great recovery after he was what brought out the first caution tonight in a spin. Great recovery, though. Cody Matthews to the inside of the 88. We saw these two battling. The 88 did have the advantage. No more, though. Cody Matthews, can he make the pass here on Andrew Russo down the backstretch? It looks like he is not going to be able to do it. In fact, he's going to fall a little bit further. Cody Richardson. This was a, I guess the best way to put it, a great day gone bad for Cody Richardson. He had the one mistake, I would say, all race, where he got a little bit loose, got into the outside wall, had some damage, fell back, though, to 25th, and he's just not been able to really recover since. He's up to 19th now, but we're starting to run out of time, and I just don't think he's got enough time, or maybe even enough of a car left to be able to get all the way back up here to the lead. So Tyler Marble, he's got about 2 cars now, just a slight bit of breathing room on third place, Austin Fitzgerald, but everybody continuing to chase after this guy. Matthew Cox has just been on rails tonight. This could be just as dominant as Tyler Marble's Sonoma win. Of course, the gap isn't going to be as big, but the amount of laps led are going to be even more. My goodness. And at this rate, he likes seeing any battling out back. He likes seeing guys making passes on each other because it allows him to just continue to extend that lead that sits at about 1.5 seconds right now. And it takes time to make up those deficits here at New Hampshire. In fact, I don't think we've actually seen anybody get to the bumper of Matthew Cox this whole race. Never mind trying to make a pass on him. Maybe for a lap or so on the restarts, but that has been it. So the biggest battle right now is everybody trying to decide who wants to lead the third spot. Austin Fitzgerald's got it. Jeff Marble, Joshua Watson, and Andrew Kotska all look like they're pretty hungry for it. But they're going to have to work around each other. And I thought New Hampshire would have a couple more lanes tonight. We have seen a couple people making the outside work. Oh, yellow flag is out. Oh, this is going to be an interesting time for one. And we have had an issue trying to figure out who it was with here. Oh, we got a couple slow cars. Maybe the 27 of Jeff Shutt. Not any data on anybody wrecking hard. This could have been just a spin. Let's take a look at it and see if we can find where it happened. Going to TV3 here. And watching. Everybody's so good. So far, so good. Oh, in the back of your screen there. Couldn't tell if that was Johnny McCulchuk or Jeff Shutt. I think this was Jeff Shutt. Yeah, it looks like it was. And this is in turns 3 and 4. Is he going to get some help? It sure looks like he is. Ooh. And that looks like some contact between him and Jerry Isaacs. Sends the 27 around. Nobody else gets collected, though. And let's take a couple different views of that. In fact, let's see if we can get a ride on board here with Jerry Isaacs. Because from this view, it looks like he just got in a little too hot. But it did also look like the 27 may have been turning down. Yeah, it's hard to say. I take it back. It doesn't necessarily look like Jerry Isaacs necessarily got in there too hot. Two guys just kind of came together. Couldn't get off of each other. And the wreck ensued. So looking at what this is going to do to Jeff Shutt, well, he's going to stay out, trying some sort of strategy here, but final view of it here from TV2. Back it up a little bit. And man, you talk about stopping in the nick of time. He just did. Oh man, that was close. Oh my goodness. Coming back down the track, the 38 was still at pretty good speed. That's Christopher Hall. Wow, that was a close call, but really good wreck avoidance for Christopher there. Prevents himself from being in a lot worse of a situation right there than he currently is. That would have been heavy, heavy damage for both cars. Christopher currently in 24th, up 5 from where he started. Shout out to Chris. Haven't got to talk about him at all tonight. Brett Spod looks like he is still off track. Thomas O'Hara is currently the last running car. I was going to say on track, but it looks like his night may have come to an end early as well. This is where the restarts start to get a lot crazier, because this is no longer so much of a tire saving, a little bit of a medium to long run race as it is. It's starting to become a sprint. 30 laps at a lot of tracks might still be a decent ways to go, but that's only 30 miles here at New Hampshire, the same distance as probably about 10 laps at Daytona. Actually, yeah, I think it would be 10 laps at Daytona, so it's not that much longer. And will we see anybody try any strategy? That's certainly up for debate, but I want to see if I can get an interview. I really wanted to get one from Matthew Cox here tonight. Did not see him in the booth, which is a shame because he has been amazing tonight. Actually, I take it back. Looks like he is. So let's see if we can bring him up here to the booth. Hey, Matthew, I know you're getting ready to go green. Just want to ask you a quick question. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Man, you have been on rails tonight. What's been the difference between you and the rest of the field, and how are you going to finish it off?
Staying up front. Hopefully I can stay here. Clean air is everything, track position, so let's hope.
I was going to say, well, if you can get it done, you're going to get your first win on a night where none other of your teammates are present, so that would certainly be an interesting way to do it. But good luck the rest of the way, man. You got the fastest car tonight.
Thank you.
Rolling back up to the Geico restart zone as we work on sliding Matthew back to his team. Green flag is back in the air. 27 laps to go at New Hampshire. Tyler Marble, big aggressive move down to the inside. There was some 3 wide right there. Jeff Shutt did not get the best restart, and the field is making sure to take full advantage of it. He is still 3 wide. Meanwhile, Matthew Cox says, you guys continue to race in the mirror. Down into turn 3, this is where things could get a little sketchy. Guys have got to be careful. 27 of Jeff Shutt. He's got a Mad Sim Racing driver on his inside. He's got a JBRE Racing driver on his outside. They're both going to get around without any trouble. Tracy Powers stuck in the middle now between Ryan Haynes and Johnny McCulchuk. Ooh, almost some contact up further in your screen there with the 03 of Adrian Watts, but he's going to stay okay. Ryan Haynes is trying to make stick to the outside. He's not going to be able to do it. Richard Elliott in the middle of this hornet's nest. All these guys fighting for the mid-teen positions. Everybody knows how important track position is now. This is nothing like we saw in the first restarts. And Austin Fitzgerald and Tyler Marble at this point. Joshua Watson even, throw them all in the mix. It's go time. There is no more saving tire at this point, and you can tell. Look at Austin Fitzgerald driving into the corner. He knows he's got to go. Matthew Cox, on the other hand, he might be trying to save a little bit of tire here, and we will see, can the 74 find a way to get up to and get around the one? We talked about Matthew Cox leading pretty much every lap here tonight, but he is going to have to lead the next 25 as we cross the line this time. 25 laps to go now. Austin Fitzgerald still hanging right in the tire tracks. In fact, we are going to keep the battle up here because it's at I take it back. We got better battling out back right now as these guys are still 2x2. The 37 of Brian Conklin trying to get around the 27 of Jeff Shutt. Ooh, Joshua Watson, big moment on the inside. Does he save it? He does. The 01 almost went around. Had to do a little bit of a lockup of the brakes and a little bit of acrobatics, and he holds on. Let's see what happens to him here. This is the end of the backstretch, but this is going to start off at turn 2. He's just going to get loose by himself. Yep, just gets loose all the way down. He's got to save it. Oh my goodness. Little drift in action there. He was laying down his own tire tracks. Holy moly, what a save by Joshua Watson. Doesn't lose too much track position, but he's probably going to take himself out of contending for the win as he falls back to 7th. Austin Fitzgerald has it down to about 0.4 of a second. Tyler Marble not too far behind, just at a second. Adrian Watts, Jeff Marble, Andrew Kotska. Jeff Marble actually the last one in the top 5. Andrew Kotska 6th, Joshua Watson 7th. Brian Conklin in 8th, Kyle Oakley in 9th, Tracy Powers in 10th, and he's looking to the inside of Kyle Oakley now. Johnny McCulchuk 11th, Jeff Shutt in 12th, Jerry Isaacs 13th, Scott Glasso 14th, Alan Pajari in 15th. Richard Elliott 16th, Ryan Haynes in 17th, Andrew Russo in 18th. Jacob Musso in 19th. Cody Matthews 20th. Brian Watson 21st. Cody Richardson in 22nd. Jared Bundy in 23rd. Christopher Hall 24th. Glenn Grigsby 25th. Bill Benedict 26th. Scott Naslin 27th. And Thomas O'Hara and Brett Spott are also all off the track to round out your 29-car field here tonight. So just when you thought Austin Fitzgerald was starting to catch up, Matthew Cox is playing the same game that he's played all night, and that is he is now all of a sudden finding a way to start to stretch the gap back out. He's got it over half a second here again. And if anybody else can find a way... Oh, yellow flag. Yellow flag is back in the air. Incident in turn 4 involving Jerry Isaacs. Can't tell if Andrew Russo's involved as well, but Jerry Isaacs is certainly... And the 51's got some right side damage. 21 laps to go. Who has got a set of tires left up to this point? I'm not sure if anybody does. If you do, though, you better be coming to take them. Going to give us another restart here. 8th caution of the night. Let's take a look what happens here. And it's just some contact between Jeff Shutt and Jerry Isaacs. You see Jeff Shutt try to check up, unfortunately, just a little bit too late. And him in the 51. The 51 goes for a slide. Then, Andrew Russo could not quite get slowed up in time. There's some contact. Let's look at this. Let's look at this from the chopper view. This contact starts almost as soon as they get into the turn. I guess these guys just wanted to say hi to each other. Yeah, Jeff Shutt gets in there a lot farther than Jerry Isaacs can. Tags him in the left rear. Around the 51 goes. And there is the on-rushing Andrew Russo. Back up front, Matthew Cox has got the lead. Austin Fitzgerald in 2nd. Tyler Marble 3rd. Adrian Watts 4th. Jeff Marble 5th, Andrew Kotska 6th, Joshua Watson 7th, Brian Conklin in 8th, Tracy Powers 9th, and Kyle Oakley rounding out your top 10. I'm going to see here if we get the 1 to go signal this next time. We're probably not going to have a chance of pulling one in, but don't forget if you're just tuning in, first of all, you picked a good time to do it. 20 to go with a restart on deck. It is going to get even crazier. It just keeps getting crazier and crazier on each restart. We've already seen 3 wide. We've seen 4 wide. We might have saw 5 wide. Can't confirm, but wouldn't be surprised if we have a chance of seeing it all happen again right here. Big shout out again to all the guys carrying our driver cams tonight. Joshua Watson, Austin Fitzgerald, Ryan Haynes, Jeff Marble. All those guys have been doing a heck of a job. Ryan Haynes, I believe, is the only one of the guys with the driver cam that we haven't got a chance to interview yet. We're going to hold off for now because we're going to go off, announce a couple more things here. And it looks like we're going to get the 1 to go. This time we are not. We're going to run at least 1 more lap under caution. So that should put us green with 17 laps to go. 17 more miles around the magic mile. Get to hold a big lobster here. No, I'm just kidding. I wish, but New Hampshire, one of those tracks, very technical. Some guys love it. Some guys hate it. Seems like a lot of the guys in the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series seem to like it. And it has certainly been shown here with a lot of the performances that we have seen here tonight. So don't forget, if you're watching and you got nothing else going on, you want to watch a little bit more Ghost Racing Network broadcasting after this, head over to the Dega Pros Money Racing $450 top 5 payout. The Talladega in the trucks. A little bit more action-packed. Going to get us a little bit excited before we go to bed. Make sure you hop over, even if you're just hopping in to say hi. We certainly appreciate it. Small crowd, though, here tonight in the broadcast. Didn't have a little bit of a smaller crowd on the track, too, though. 29 cars. Used to seeing a little bit more towards the mid-30s, 40s. It has dropped off a little bit as the season goes on, but... And again, I'm not sure if this is the case here in this one necessarily, but from the time I've started racing over on NASCAR Heat 5 on Xbox to the time I've been in iRacing and seen some of the leagues, it does seem like sometimes when you get closer to the playoffs, there's always a couple guys that if they feel like their chances at it just aren't looking good. It's just, it gets hard sometimes, you know, to put the hours and hours of work in, especially for a custom setup league that it takes to be competitive. And if you're not competitive, sometimes it's not fun. So I think that's why we may have seen a couple of guys that have not been showing up as much, sticking to some of the super speedways of the 1.5 miles, the tracks where you don't have to put in quite as much setup work and practice time. But if you're any of these guys on the front row, you know you might be running for a championship, and you know that this race is important. Can you get the win? Adrian Watts did not get going. He has a big checkup on the outside. Austin Fitzgerald, though, off to a pretty good lead. Jeff Marble, 3 wide. Big aggressive move here into the turn. Can he make it stick? Oh, he's going to have to check up for Joshua Watson. Gives him just a slight tap. Lets him know, hey, man, I may not have appreciated that too much. Down the backstretch, everybody fanning out. Staying 2x2, though, and civilized enough for now. Jacob Musso, big slide into the corner. That's not going to work. Way too much speed for the 95. He gets up into the outside wall. Up front, Tyler Marble gets back past Austin Fitzgerald. Those two have been trading in and out on each restart. Adrian Watts tries to jump to the inside of his teammate, but he can't do it. Ooh, Jeff Marble gets a little bit loose underneath the 03. The 03 is trying to hold him down. Jeff Marble's trying to work him up the track a little bit. Does the 47 of Kotska dive low? No, he doesn't. Gives Jeff Marble a little bit of a push. We got a battle for the lead. First time tonight, somebody had looked to the inside of Matthew Cox. Not the first time, but one of the first times. Tyler Marble tried, couldn't quite get it that time. 15 laps to go. Is he going to have another shot at it? And if he gets there, these guys race really clean, but as fast as Matthew Cox has been tonight, do you maybe think about laying just a little bit of bumper, try to get him up the track, and maybe if you can get in front, that's all you need. Tyler Marble, this is pretty close. He's going to go for the big arc here. Watch this. He's going to jump to the outside, and then he's going to try to get it to rotate, come right back to the inside, set himself up for the turn 1 and 2 entry, but he can't do it. Caution is out, and that would be why. Jerry Isaacs, looks like he may have had another crash here. Ooh, front end this time is pretty beat up. Cody Matthews may have been involved in this incident as well. This is going to put us within 10 to go now for the final restart, or for hopefully the final restart. Let's take a look on the backstretch. It looks like Brian Watson had already been spun. This might be similar to what happened to his teammate earlier. Not sure if he's going to get any help. So we'll take a look from the chopper view. And then Jerry Isaacs in this one, by the way, is going to have nowhere to go, so keep it on the 51. But watch the 04 off of the turn. Brian Watson about 4 rows up, rather. Yeah, no help. Just gets loose, and there's that slight overcorrection to the right. Comes back up the track. 51 with nowhere to go. He's trying to sneak by on the outside. Unfortunately, just could not quite do it. And then Cody Matthews, he's trying to sneak by. He gets clipped. And that sends him spinning to the inside. I think he might be okay here, though. Oh, my goodness. If he somehow... No shot, he missed the wall, right? I think he did. And then to come back up on the track. Wow. That's a good save from the 10 car. Watch this. Straight to the inside wall. Oh my goodness. Wow. He could not have been more than inches from that wall. Holy, we have got to take a look at this from the left rear cam. Oh my, Cody Matthews. That would easily be my candidate for save of the night. Watch this. Slow it down for you. Watch how close he gets to these tire barriers. Wow. Not much room to spare. You got to remember that camera is basically on the car, so it's not like... Oh my goodness, let's ride on the cockpit view. This had to be pretty spooky. Watch this. And that is why you never give up driving a car. I mean, hey, we're sim racing. Few occasions in sim racing where you got to really let go of the wheel and just hold the brakes, but this was not one of those. Cody Matthews, regardless of his finish tonight, he has got to be proud of that one right there. All right, so you got Matthew Cox still leading the way there, but Tyler Marble looking like he might be able to give the one car a good run for his money here in these last 9-10 laps or so. Austin Fitzgerald going to be starting third, Joshua Watson fourth, Adrian Watts rounding out your top 5. You are watching the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series on Ghost Racing Network. We will be back for the finish here in just a moment. Stick with us. All right, here we go. 10 laps to go at New Hampshire. Green flag is back in the air. No move yet. Everybody's going to stay double file and in their respective rows down into turn 1. You can tell Joshua Watson, he wants that position, looking a little bit antsy. Austin Fitzgerald on the inside. What can he do? Tyler Marble taps the wall as the battle for second continues. Matthew Cox is liking it. He is trying to pull away. Off of turn 4, still side by side. Tyler Marble and Austin Fitzgerald, they cannot get it sorted out. Meanwhile, Adrian Watts is going to take the position from his teammates. He now moves up into the 4th position. And if these guys can't figure it out in the next lap or so, Matthew Cox might be too far away for it to matter. They're also burning more tire the longer they race side by side. But Austin Fitzgerald, he knows he cannot give up the position at this point in the race if he wants to keep it. But Tyler Marble, he's probably been one of the few guys that I can say that I've been impressed with in the sense of how well he has been able to run the outside. But each lap it gets tighter and tighter, getting closer and closer to that wall. Austin Fitzgerald continuing to play the patient game, not overdriving it down into the corner. Just forcing Tyler Marble to where he can't get the run on the straightaway, or at least that's what he's trying to do. Meanwhile, in the back, 2x2 still a little bit, but most of these guys have single filed out. Adrian Watts is watching both of these cats saying, which one do I want to go with? Look at his chops right now, deciding can he think about a 3-wide move here down the front stretch. It would definitely be a pretty brave move, but he's not going to try anything just yet. Still side by side. And at this point, Matthew Cox already has that lead up to a second, just continues to extend it. Now a little bit of contact between these two. Looks like Adrian Watts chooses to go with Austin Fitzgerald here, gives him the push, but it's not going to be enough. Tyler Marble still hanging. Oh, Adrian Watts gets down low. His teammate's going to cut him a huge break right there. If that was anyone else, I think the 03 gets turned around right there. But Joshua Watson's going to cut him some slack. 6 laps to go. Remember, if we can make it around to the white flag, this race will be official. A little bit more contact there. Looks like Andrew Kopska thought about maybe giving Jeff Marble a little bit of bumper, and yeah, they are single file now through the entire field. At this point, Austin Fitzgerald trying to set his sights on the leader, but no, because Tyler Marble is going to try to cross him right back over. The 48 looking pretty strong on the inside and outside. Now the 74 gets clear by a car length. That's going to give him some breathing room, but a second, 1.3 seconds with 5 laps to go. I just don't think he's got enough time now, and might be kicking himself a little bit, saying, what if I could have somehow found a way to get around Tyler Marble just a little bit quicker? And at this point, if you're Matthew Cox, it's got to be all at your windshield. Oh, we're going to see another dive, though, here to the bottom. Wow. Tyler Marble way to the bottom. In fact, he used below the apron that we thought we'd see a little bit more of tonight. Wasn't really able to gain too much from it, but he is definitely trying to move around, change his line a little bit here, find a little something. Really sends it in, gets down deep, tries to get checked up to the middle of the corner. But Austin Fitzgerald's starting to look stronger and stronger. Unfortunately, he's not looking stronger in terms of catching the leader. Matthew Cox coming around to see 3 laps to go. Still keeping an eye, though, right now on this battle for second. And if Tyler Marble is in the position he's in on the last lap, it's only for a second, but again, he might have the option of using a little bit of bumper. This time, though, he tries the inside a little bit more daring that time as he got really close to the left quarter panel of Austin Fitzgerald. Couldn't make it stick, though, and you can see that causes him to really fade on the straightaways. Going to be coming to 2 laps to go this time. Last chance for a caution. Matthew Cox out of turn 4. And at this point, he is saying, just keep it clean, guys. 1.6 second lead. He can cruise from here. Just got to get to the white flag. And I guess ironic that I say cruise, because knowing that he's got to get to the white flag for it to be official, this might be the fastest lap that he runs all race, or at least he's certainly going to feel like it. One more set of corners. Can everybody hold it together? Austin Fitzgerald has greatly pulled away now from Tyler Marble, who's under fire from 2 of the JBR E-Racing drivers. Adrian Watts is going to look to see if he can take that position. He slides a little bit high. Here we go. 1 lap to go for Matthew Cox. One of the great rookies that we have seen in the year tonight. Him and Adrian Watts probably the two most dominant rookies. But you kind of questioned yourself, who was going to get the win first? And how about it? All of Team Watson Racing, every single one of their drivers had got to win. They bring this guy on board, and you got big shoes to fill. They're probably all saying, hey, man, we've all got to win. You're going to have to get yourself one. Well, no more, because as he works his way out of turn 4, the Magic Mile, guess who? Matthew Cox wins it at New Hampshire. What a race, what a performance, and a dominant finish nonetheless. Austin Fitzgerald brings home 2nd, and Tyler Marble finishes 3rd. First win of the season, and the first rookie to get a win here on the season. How about it? As Matthew Cox working his way around here, we'll let him come around to do a burnout. As he does so, we're going to go get your top 3 prepped and ready for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back. All right, back live here at New Hampshire, the Magic Mile, where we are got your top 3 standing by. Let's start with 3rd place finisher Tyler Marble. Tyler, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, another good run tonight, another podium finish. What more did you think maybe you needed there on that last restart? Because it looked like the one before you might have had a shot at the one car.
What I needed was the restart on the bottom. Honestly, the top was at a disadvantage, I felt. Getting the launch and yeah, so long way around definitely doesn't help either. So being on the bottom definitely would have helped. And the I don't know if would have stayed green if I would have caught him, but yeah, I'm gonna take a P3.
Well, I will say you were one of the few drivers that we saw actually be able to make the top line work tonight. So the car was certainly good and a good finish bringing it home on the podium tonight. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I like to thank you, obviously, for doing a broadcast. You do a great job. I thank teammates, my old man, BC, bringing out a P8, hard fought P8 there. Good job. I thank LA Wheel Repair Specialist for coming on board. Ghost Racing, I already said that, but I'll do it again. Thank you. Sim Racer Hub, Butt Kicker, High Racing High Flag. Yeah, looking forward to Pocono next week. Keep on the momentum in this awesome summer stretch.
All right, well, we'll be keeping an eye on you. Thanks for talking to us, and congrats on that 3rd place finish.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, next up in the booth, how about him? Austin Fitzgerald. Austin, this is Austin again up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Austin.
Well, another great run for you tonight. Fierce battle, though, between you and Tyler Marble on that last restart. Do you think maybe that hindered your chances of going for the win at the end?
Honestly, I knew, I was trying all race to try new stuff to, get Matthew, and nothing was working. So at the end there, I figured, you know what, this is what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for 2nd. So that's, what I put my attention in. I mean, if I felt like I might have a shot at the win, maybe I even would have let Tyler go so we wouldn't have lost him, But I knew either way it'd be really hard to win it. So I figured I'll just go as hard as I can with Tyler. And I thank him just for the way he raced me. He threw it in there, a couple times, tried a slide job, but he's real respectable of my lane, and, I know I was just as aggressive on him. So, yeah, it was fun short track racing for sure.
Well, man, you seem to be getting good at all of them. Super speedways, short tracks, mile and a half, you name it. You are starting to become faster and faster. After this, we're heading into the playoffs. I know we still got a little ways before then, but what? I guess I would like to ask, what kind of track do you think is still your struggle point, maybe?
My struggle point, super speedways, so Daytona. But Atlanta's been really good to me. I mean, obviously last week I wrecked myself on the last lap, but up until then it's good, and then I won earlier. But still, I'm not a huge fan of the super speedways, so not looking forward to that. But, you know, if I can make the Final Four, I really like Phoenix, you know, and I like Martinsville. That's, I think, part of the, or yeah, it's like the third, fourth last race. I like that track. So I think there's a lot more that I like than I don't like. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. Just would like to get some more wins before then.
All right. Thanks for talking to us. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, as always, I thank my wife Vanity and my two little girls, Emma Jane and Indy Cash. Thank you to Dynamic Autosports. You know, they've really helped me a lot. Thank you to Alan and all the work that he puts in, and all the other guys on the team every week. And it's been a huge help for me personally. Thank you, Austin, for the great broadcasts you put on. Thank you to Acoustic Design Systems and their support in this. And thank you to Jeff and Tyler for putting on this league. It's a ton of fun.
Well, thank you for talking to us, and congrats on that third place finish.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Austin Fitzgerald. Let's go ahead and move on and bring in your winner tonight, the man that got his first win, Matthew Cox. Matthew, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep, I got you.
First win of the season tonight. You were dominant, man. How did you do it? You were led almost every single lap. I mean, was there ever a doubt in your mind that you were going to win that race?
I did a lot of practice here. I knew this is one that I'd have a chance with. I don't know why, but these flat, slick tracks are pretty good for me. So, you know, I had a goal to either get the pole or start up front as quick or as far up as I could, and then I knew I'd be trouble if I got to the front. So
you were trouble for the rest of the field tonight. Now that you got one win, is there any race that you kind of got circled on your calendar to maybe go for the second?
Next week we got I think we're going to be pretty strong here at Pocono, so we'll see what happens. We got to try and win every week.
I like the confidence. All right, hey, thanks for talking to us. Before we let you go, though, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yep. We got to shout out Team Watson Racing Setups. Obviously had a rocket ship tonight and pretty much every week. So if you guys need setups, you know where to go.
All right. Congratulations on the win tonight. We'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks, man.
So Matthew Cox brings home the win. Austin Fitzgerald in second. Tyler Marble third. Joshua Watson fourth. Jeff Marble fifth. Adrian Watts sixth. Andrew Kotska in seventh. Brian Conklin eighth. Tracy Powers in ninth. Kyle Oakley rounding out your top 10. Scott Glasso 11th. Alan Pajari 12th. Cody Richardson in 13th. Richard Elliott 14th. Johnny McCulchuk 15th. Jacob Musso in 16th. Ryan Haynes in 17th. Jeff Shutt in 18th. Moving on back to 19th. Cody Matthews. Brian Watson rounding out your top 20. Jerry Isaacs 21st. Andrew Russo 22nd. Jared Bundy 23rd. Christopher Hall 24th. Glenn Grigsby 25th. Bill Benedict 26th. Thomas O'Hara 27th. Scott Naisland 28th, and Brett Spod rounding out the field tonight in 29th position. Well, I hope everybody watching did enjoy. It was a fun race. I got to be honest, I had my doubts about New Hampshire, but this was one of the more enjoyable broadcasts. These guys were pretty clean for the most part. I know we had some cautions there late, but the racing here at New Hampshire itself, again, we knew what it was going to be, a very technical track, and it did not disappoint in that sense. The cream definitely rose to the top. The best of the best were the ones that were at the front all night. And congrats to Matthew Cox on his first win in his rookie season for Team Watson Racing. We'll be back next Monday with more FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series. Until then, have a good night.